The Weeknd is one of the biggest and most successful pop artists in the world. Every album that he releases has at least 5 hits or more, at least. And honestly, it's really hard for him to do anything unnoticed. You might have missed his first ever debut into the glamorous world of film and television when he launched his own TV series back in 2022, which he wrote, directed, and starred in, titled The Idol, which was immediately canceled after 1 season for being what people called a disgusting excuse to make out with Lily Rose Depp and to act misogynistic on camera for no reason. But if you missed The Idol, fear not. Fear not, y'all, because we now have a follow-up production to The Idol. That's right, y'all, we have the Weeknd movie called Hurry Up Tomorrow, a movie that was so bad that it ran in box office for a whopping 2 weeks. I don't even know anywhere in the country that ran it after 2 weeks, personally. But on June 6th, the Friday that we just had last week, on June 6th, it was finally released on streaming sites, and y'all already know I had to watch. I had to watch it. I had to see what all the fuss was about. So I took the L, and I paid $20 of my own hard-earned money so that I could rent the Weeknd movie, Hurry Up Tomorrow, so that y'all don't have to. Save that shmoney. Hey y'all, it's Mariana and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about pop culture, trending topics, and the occasional social media scandals. Y'all, I need to talk about something. So, today, on Monday, June 9th, I woke up to my surprise. I am on famous birthdays. You know what? I used to always tell myself, like, I will make it the day that I'm on famous birthdays, and I made it on famous birthdays. And guess what? I have the same birthday as Khloe Kardashian. June 27th is actually coming up. So famous birthdays, y'all, how did they get my age? Cause no one reached out to me. No one, like, and they had a whole paragraph about me. They had the city that I was born in. They had like my birthday already. I'm like, I never told you people. Do you know how many videos of mine you have to watch for me to say that I am from Vancouver, BC? Somebody at famous birthdays is nosy. I assumed that like people on famous birthdays like reached out to the people to like fill out their own biography. They don't. They do not. They actually just stalked me and they somehow found my birthday and found my birthplace and then made a biography about me and then they called me a TikTok star. I'm not a don't. Okay, don't. Anyways, that was my mini tiny rant, vent / celebration of this video of the week. So let's get into it. All right, so I've separated this movie into 4 scenes. The first scene, let's get into it, is the intro scene. So the movie starts out with like this really dramatic audio of what I assume is his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend saying the rudest stuff. You ruined me, you suck, you brought out the worst in me, you deserve nobody, you deserve to end up alone. And then it cuts to him crying and doing what I assume is a vocal exercise. But like, I think that the sound of the vocal exercises are literally dubbed over top of the video itself because his lips don't match the exercise noise. Also, he's drinking while working out and you are not supposed to do that, by the way, because alcohol cancels out your gains. So his trainer walks in and hypes him up. His trainer, by the way, is literally Sabrina Carpenter's ex-boyfriend, the one who cheated on her. She actually wrote the song titled Man Child about him. Apparently his name is Lee, but then, surprise, it's actually not his personal trainer. Regardless of having boxing gear, why do you have boxing gear if you're not a personal trainer? Surprise again, they're actually rehearsing for a show backstage. So cuts to a scene of Jenna Ortega, the girl from Wednesday. She was an icon in 2023, I believe. So she's pouring gasoline all around this house, y'all. We have no context here. It's literally just her pouring gasoline. We don't know even who she is, what she's doing. We don't know whose house it is. I, at first, thought that this was his house. So I assumed that maybe it was like that was his ex-girlfriend that left the voicemail. And while she's doing that, the scene is cutting to him performing at the concert dressed like Mike Tyson. It's giving cult. It's giving Tony Robbins. So the music starts and he heads on stage. And yes, If you're wondering, we have to watch him perform the entire song, which is 4 minutes long, by the way. The entire time he performs the song, the camera angle does not move from his face. So we are watching him the entire time, just him, just his face. And the camera's spinning around, only showing him for 4 minutes straight while he sings his song, Wake Me Up. So we're not off to a good start. So meanwhile, Jenna Ortega is crying and running back to her car, which is a super beat up SUV, by the way, that won't even start properly. Which, by the way, if you're gonna set somebody's house on fire, maybe at least make sure your getaway car actually works. Also, I do think it's a little ridiculous how scared she is running away, because like, you're the one that set the house on fire. So why are you screaming and running away? You obviously knew what was gonna happen. You're the one that set the house on fire. It's not like your house just exploded out of nowhere and you're running away. You're literally running, screaming from the fire you started on purpose. Also, why are you still holding the jerry can and the lighter in your hand? If you're screaming, people are gonna notice that you're screaming. And also, why do you want to bring the evidence into your truck? Also, why do you need a jerry can? Also, why didn't you just leave the evidence in the burning house? Nobody would have ever found the evidence. It would have literally melted. So she drives off, and we finally, 15 minutes into the film, get the intro card. Also, Sabrina Carpenter's ex-boyfriend is very hard to understand throughout this entire movie. Like, I get that he's Irish and he has an Irish accent, but what are you saying?
And she's not going to text you back at all. And then you're going to be moaning to me. Then you're going to, can you ring her one more time? Can you? Enough, eh?
You might as well just have cast Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
You have the baby born into this world, and they don't got any friends, got nothing but to go come in to find out all about it.
So that was the intro scene. So now that brings us to scene number 1. So scene number 1, we got Jenna. Jenna rolls up to the gas station, filling up her car and her jerry can again. And she's like eyeing up this cop, the sheriff that pulls up. And for some reason, she's also eyeing the guys in the gas station. And I didn't really understand why she was making such a fuss over there being 2 random dudes in the gas station, like as if they even noticed her at all. Maybe one shot would have been fine just to show there's people in a gas station and she's at the gas station and she's worried about people seeing her at the gas station. But to have multiple shots for multiple minutes of these men in the gas station as if it was of significance in any sort. So it cuts back to him doing a performance yet again, but this time he's at some kind of rave. He seems to be yelling for somebody and also maybe overdosing at the same time. I don't know who he's yelling for, right? We don't know, because they never told us the name of his trainer. They actually never even told us that his trainer was the manager. They assumed that we would have known that information. We actually don't officially find out his manager's name until about an hour into the movie. Then we get another sudden cut to an after party at someone's house where everyone is doing drugs and drinking. Ew, and Sabrina Carpenter's ex-boyfriend is acting a fool, by the way. Absolute fool. He's got drugs on his nose and he's doing like crunches on the floor and running around and fighting himself when no one's even looking at him. Like, everyone else is just doing their own thing and he's like in the middle of the living room doing this weird dance, hitting his own elbows and then doing crunches and dancing on the floor. It's like this person has never seen somebody do a drug before. This person is acting like he's on bath salts. And then he's kissing multiple people at once too, in like some weird kissing triangle. It's like, to do the scene study for this character, he just googled person on drugs and then copied the first guy that he saw. Abel is on the bathroom floor playing the keyboard for some reason, and you can hear him listening to the voicemail that was playing in the first scene by whoever his ex-girlfriend was. Next, it cuts to him at the doctor's office where he gets diagnosed with like a psychological stress disorder that makes it hard for him to sing for about 30 seconds. Like, we get this doctor's visit in 30 seconds. And then it cuts back to a scene of Jenna driving down the road at sunset, playing another song by The Weeknd. And the scene of her driving is longer than the scene of him getting diagnosed with this very serious psychological stressor that affects his vocal cords. How did you get to the doctor's office? What made you go to the doctor's office? And then it cuts back to Abel drinking and smoking on an airplane. So Abel is sitting on his private jet. He's begging the manager to call his ex-girlfriend, and then his manager says no, and somehow has a Jamaican accent now.
I'm not calling. You're the doctor. Leave. You heard the doctor. It's up here, man. What? Listen to what the doctor said.
You heard the doctor. It's up here, man. And Abel starts crying uncontrollably. So that is the end of scene number 1. And now we go into scene number 2, which is around the 30-minute mark. So we are met with a scene of him in the bathtub, almost drowning, and he sees a black figure. It seems that he fell asleep in the bath, and woke up coughing. He then texts and calls this girl who I assume is his ex-girlfriend, the one that's been leaving him the voice message, a message that says, "Please talk to me!" Exclamation point. But this is not the same girl who burned down his house. This is a different girl. I thought up until this moment that Jenna Ortega was the ex-girlfriend who was crazy and trying to get back at him. But surprise, surprise, it is actually a different woman. I've never seen this woman before. Something about this movie and not giving the names of characters is a little bit weird. Like the movie literally forgets to name these characters, by the way. The only person that we know so far is Abel. And we only know that because he plays himself. If he didn't play himself, then we wouldn't even know Abel's name. So he calls her, she doesn't pick up. He calls her again, she doesn't pick up. So he calls her again and he leaves the stupidest voicemail saying, "Why aren't you calling me? Why aren't you texting me back? You're just gonna give up? Just like that?" I don't even remember what I said. I know I'm not perfect, but you don't have to keep reminding me. So after this weird voicemail, the camera spins around and then it cuts to him sitting on the floor of the stadium, canceling his performance, and his trainer, who I now realize is his manager, is screaming at him to go on stage anyways. So his manager pulls the classic, "Listen to all these screaming fans who paid all this money to see you." So this particular scene where the manager is trying to get him to perform goes on for so long. He's been sitting there hyping him up for 5 minutes straight. Meanwhile, Abel isn't even saying anything back. 5 minutes of this guy crouched on the floor, hyping up how much Abel is the best singer in the world. He's the man. He's a god. He's got it like that. He can walk out there and he's no human. Humans get tired, but you're not tired because you're not a human. So you're a god and you can go out there and crush it. Plus everyone already bought their tickets and I already spent the money, so I can't cancel it. So the Weeknd/Abel pops a pill, chases it with liquor, and then goes on stage. So this ultimately drives the Weeknd to go on stage despite him knowing that he can't sing because of his vocal stress thing. And surprise, Jenna Ortega is there in the audience. I don't know why she's there, but she's there. So we get a scene backstage where he's leaving another voicemail, this time crashing out super hard, embarrassingly hard, for this random girl, where he calls himself a fucking legend and that she is a nobody. And then he breaks the mirror in front of him and then proceeds to go on stage after that. So I guess they really want us to know that he has a really high self-worth. He's now on stage again, giving the same cult energy for his third performance of the movie so far. At 40 minutes, we finally get something interesting where he tries to sing and his voice tenses up and he stops singing and no sound comes out. He is low-key panicking on stage and the music stops, it goes silent, and he just kind of stands there on the stage staring at Jenna Ortega in the audience. And this scene goes on for about 3 minutes where it's just silent and they're just staring at each other and we don't know why, and there's no dialogue. It's just shot of Abel, shot of Jenna, shot of Abel, shot of Jenna, shot of Abel. Abel gets embarrassed, runs backstage, locks himself in the dressing room. The manager shows up and he's banging on the door, trying to get him out. Meanwhile, Jenna Ortega hops the fence and sneaks backstage, trying to follow him into the arena. Abel and his manager have this really dramatic falling out where his manager's like, "I'm sorry, I know it's my fault, I'm sorry." And he's like, "I told you I couldn't sing. I told you I couldn't sing, but you didn't listen." So he gets his stuff, puts his hood up, opens the door, and then walks away, very angrily. We don't actually really know where he's going, but I assume that he's leaving the stadium because he's angry, so he storms away. Jenna Ortega is seen running away from the security guard, who has realized by now that she does not have a backstage pass, so a security guard clocked her and was like, "Who are you, miss? Where's your pass?" And she just ran away. So she runs directly into Abel as he's storming away angrily, and they have a full-on collision and they both fall on the floor. He saves her from the security guard by saying, "She's good." And he said, "I saw you." She says, "Yes." And then we get a minute-long pause. And then he says, "Do you want to come with me?" And she says, "Yes." And that is the exact line delivery. And I needed to act that way so that you could understand how slowly this movie moves.
I saw you. Do you want to come with me?
By the way, in what circumstance would anybody just invite a random stranger who stalked you to your workspace to a secluded VIP area, a secure area? We have made it to scene number 3. The 45-minute mark, scene number 3. So in scene number 3, Jenna and Abel are in the car with the driver. Driver asks, where you want to go? Abel says, just drive. Okay, so they stay staring at each other in silence in the car for several minutes, by the way. Shot of Abel, shot of Jenna, shot of Abel, shot of Jenna, shot of Abel and Jenna. Cuts to Halloween festival of some sort, I assume, because there's people in costumes, but we are never told what exactly this is or what they're doing or where they're going or even what city they're in. We have no idea what is going on at this point. I kind of feel like this was a bit ripped off from Euphoria, but it's so much worse because the scene is so dark that, y'all, I can't even make out half the movie, y'all. This is one thing that I've noticed by now in the film gets me very annoyed. Stylistically, the contrast is like set all the way up. You literally can't see half the screen. I get the dark contrast thing, I get it, because it can be moody and vibey. It can be like aesthetic, but Euphoria did it in a way where it was like futuristically aesthetic. Like Euphoria had like bright pops of like blue and purple and pink and everyone was colorful and the camera work was so aesthetic in Euphoria, y'all. Whereas Hurry Up Tomorrow is just like reds and black and dark orange tones in the whole movie and yellow, and it just gives like, you know, when you have a fever, like I know for me when I have a fever dream, like an actual fever dream when I actually have a fever, the tones are like, it's like dark and red and like orange in my dream, and I wake up and I just feel hot. This movie gives fever. Yeah, so anyways, they're suddenly at a Halloween festival of some sort. We watch them walk around this mystery carnival of some sort and play mystery carnival games. Cut back to them in the car. I suppose they're on the way back home and they're just staring at each other in silence yet again for 5 minutes without saying anything. No dialogue, by the way, 0 dialogue. Just a shot of them staring at each other for 5 minutes. So that was really entertaining. So it cuts to the scene of them now sitting somewhere. We don't know where. I assume that it's his house that they're sitting in, but they're staring at each other in silence some more, and he's showing her this new song that I just came up with. Lo and behold, our 5th entire full-length Weeknd song plays in this movie. And it's like on his phone. So she's listening to the song and it's making her emotional. And she starts crying and you can see tears going down her cheeks while he's playing her this new mystery song from his phone for about 3.5 minutes. Jenna then tells him that she felt like this. So he's like, "Are you okay? Why are you crying?" And she's like, "I just feel like this song is made for me. It's so me. It's like, I literally understand this song so much. It's like literally so relatable. It's just like literally me." And she starts crying and then she starts telling us about how her dad left and how her mom was really broke and raising them. And I don't know, we just kind of get this person's life story out of literally nowhere. Can we have a little more dynamic characters, please?
It's not done, so don't judge me. Let's do it.
There's no scene where they actually fall asleep, but next thing it just cuts to him waking up at 3 a.m. and we only know it's 3 a.m. because he pulls out his phone and it says 3 a.m. His phone is blowing up because he canceled his concert, so it says text from Lee, text from whatever, I don't even know what this is, like a window cleaning business or something. He hears Jenna singing in the shower at 3 a.m. and he looks over at the door. I would like to point out, by this point in the movie, we are now 1 hour into the movie. We are over halfway into the movie. And we still don't even know this person's name. That's why I keep calling her Jenna, for Jenna Ortega. We don't know this person's name. Not once in the film was her name even mentioned at all. We were just supposed to know that this person's name is apparently Amina. How do we know that? Because you have to Google it. I was waiting for so long to have one scene where she introduces herself. And it never happened. Maybe I zoned out and I missed it. But if I did zone out and miss it, I shouldn't have missed it that easily. I was watching and taking notes, and I couldn't find the scene where she said her name. So it cuts to the next morning and they're eating breakfast together. In this scene, Y'all, I can't help but notice how apparent the age difference is between The Weeknd and Jenna Ortega, and it makes me wonder if this happened with a teenage fan, like if he based the story on something that happened with a teenage fan of his, and if Jenna was cast because she plays a 13-year-old in the series Wednesday because she looks like a teenager. They pretty much just sit in silence while we watch Jenna watching him and then looking at his phone. So her mom is spam calling her. She answers the phone and we hear her mom screaming, "What's wrong with you? Why do you destroy everything that you touch? No, you're gonna sit here and talk to me." And she kind of just cried and said, "I'm sorry," and then hung up the phone. So by this point, I'm guessing that it was her mom's house that she burned down, and it was her mom calling her about the burnt down house. We have no idea why, and I'm just gonna save y'all the suspense. We never know why. This topic is never revisited again in the movie. We have no idea anything that happened between Jenna and her family or what happened with the house. We have literally no idea. The question as to why she burned the house down is never answered in this whole movie. That was the only interesting part of the movie that I was interested in, and they never answered the question. Sometimes movies will do that, where they leave you on a cliffhanger. They leave you on a question to ponder, you know? But this literally is just a missing plot. You're just missing a page of your screenplay. So she starts hysterically crying and hangs up the phone while The Weeknd stares at her like she's a freak. He asks her after 90 seconds of him staring at her with a freakish look on his face. He asks her, "You good?" And then she turns around and they literally just start fighting out of nowhere for no reason. And it's not like, it's literally a fight out of nowhere. Her dialogue makes no sense in this film. She turns around and she says, "Why do you look so freaked out? You're acting like you're scared of me. Why are you acting like you're scared of me? You don't look concerned. You look scared. You're ruining this. Why are you ruining this? What are you doing? Where are you going? Take me with you. What do you mean?" The whole movie up to this point, they've exchanged, y'all, 6 sentences. The movie has completely skipped over the fact that we never even got a proper introduction of who either of these people were at all. All we know so far is he sucks and he has a crazy ex. And all we know about this chick is she burned down her house. We don't even know her name, y'all. They met once, by the way. These people have met once. This is the morning after the first time they hung out. This breaks out in like this huge fight and she's making a big stink. She's making a tantrum. She's throwing things. She's screaming. She's trying to get him to stay. He won't stay. He says he has to go. He has a doctor's appointment. People are calling me. That's where we get this meme, by the way.
Shut the fuck up! Shut up! What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? I have to go right now.
I have people calling me. I have to go. I have a doctor's appointment. People are calling me. I feel like The Weeknd didn't know that people usually have to take acting lessons before they can act. I kind of think he's one of those people that thinks like, "Oh, I can act for sure. I can act just like myself. I can play myself. Are you kidding me? Who can't play themselves? I can play myself." But this line delivery, y'all, proves him wrong. So she gets upset and he turns to leave. As he turns to leave, she turns, grabs a glass bottle, and smashes him in the back of the head, which knocks him unconscious instantly. And this leads us to scene number 4, around the hour and 15-minute mark. Abel wakes up in his bed at 3 a.m. again. I thought at this point in the movie it was gonna be like, okay, I get it. It's gonna be one of those movies where it's like the guy wakes up and then does something wrong and is trapped in like this never-ending day cycle. You know, you've seen those ones where it's like people are doomed to keep repeating the same day again and again. I thought that it was gonna be like that, but it wasn't. Instead, we get a 15-minute nightmare. So he wanders around what apparently, now that I'm realizing, is a hotel. He's wandering around this hotel, which is empty. And then he goes outside the hotel, wanders around downtown. Downtown Mysteryville, Mystery Town, because we have no idea where he is. Apparently the film takes place in Los Angeles, California. Says who? So we're just supposed to know. I'm getting frustrated with the amount of details that we're supposed to know about the movie in order to understand the movie that we're watching. So we get a 15-minute nightmare horror, which this 15 minutes is like probably the most thrilling part of the entire movie, which sucks because it's not even real. It's just like his nightmare. But like, I don't get it. I thought that this was a biography. Why is it now a horror movie? After doing research, I realized that this actually is a blended biography. So it's like a biography, but it's like it blends like fictional thriller, which is extremely confusing because he goes by his name, he plays himself, he illustrates his real life. It's literally just his biography, and then halfway through the movie it decides to turn into a horror movie. But the thing is, if you don't know The Weeknd, then you don't know that. Now he actually wakes up and he's tied to the bed. Jenna is forcing him to talk to her and will not untie him. I don't know why I hate this character so much. I hate every single character in the movie actually, but I think I hate Jenna's character the most. It's so stupid. Why is every single character in this movie so one-dimensional? Also, none of her dialogue makes sense yet again, and she keeps saying, you have to talk to me, you have to be honest with me, but talk about what? Be honest about what? You guys have exchanged 7 sentences. He just swears at her and starts screaming and crying and threatening her. So she decides to leave him tied up and then forces him, tortures him to listen to one of his own songs while she describes how much she likes them. Oh my god, that's so terrifying.
Hey, where are you going? Untie me.
You know, your music is a lot more personal than people realize. Huh? Alright, I'm gonna go through some tracks. Let's go with Blinding Lights. It's an undeniable hit. You know, because you hear this and it feels like you're entering a party. You know, like a safe space where you can just let loose. You don't really have to care about anything else.
Also, I feel the need now to point out that the camera frame keeps changing throughout the film. For the whole film so far, it's been square, like a square frame, but then it'll randomly, without even like almost noticing, it'll randomly just switch to like a wide angle. She starts singing his song and starts dancing all around the room. The Wednesday dance was better than this dance. It's like they told her, hey, we saw what you did with Wednesday, so do it again, but worse. I love Jenna Ortega and she is so talented. So this makes me really upset. The script and the screenplay that they gave her does not do her talent justice at all. It's difficult to even describe her dialogue because y'all, her dialogue literally just doesn't make sense. Like she'll be dancing around and she'll be like, why don't you talk to me? Why don't you be honest with me? You need to be honest and open yourself up and be honest with me and talk about it. You're not being truthful with me. By the way, I know your ex-girlfriend. She was different, wasn't she? You let her in. You loved her. And then you broke her heart. And you didn't treat her well. How do you know this? Who told you this? No, when did you get a chance to find this information? There's so many holes in this plot. She then goes to play yet another one of his full-length songs while she sings over it and dances to it again while he begs and screams and pleads to please untie him. Me while watching this movie. So she starts playing Gasoline and does the exact same scene twice where she just describes how much she likes it and what it means to her and then starts singing and dancing it. And like when she's describing how much she likes the song and what it's about, she's like, it's weird. It's like a marketing thing. It's like the worst description of a song ever too. It's like, this song really makes you want to move and it just gets you in the party scene, the party vibe. You don't need to tell us this information. These are hit singles. They're hits already. They're top of the Billboard charts. Gasoline was my favorite Weeknd song, by the way. It is now ruined forever. While she's like dancing, interpretive dancing his songs while singing them, she gives him completely unsolicited therapy. Like for example, she says this really dramatic line, "Is this song really about a toxic relationship? Or is it about you?" Finally, somebody shows up banging on the door looking for The Weeknd, and she shoves a pillow in his face. She runs to the door to answer it, and boom, it's manager Sabrina Carpenter's ex-boyfriend. He says, "I'm looking for The Weeknd. Not The Weeknd. I'm looking for Abel. I'm looking for Abel." She tells the manager about 30 times that he isn't here, until he literally has to break the door down, and she's just on the floor. She immediately gets up and grabs a knife, and he disarms her instantly as if taking a toy out of a toddler's hand. They have then the stupidest fight scene ever where she just throws a tantrum and keeps throwing things around the room at him and like just knocking over chairs, which also, why is there a knife right by the entrance door? The fight ends somehow with her winning by stabbing a piece of glass right into his neck. And then she lays next to him on the ground for probably about 4 minutes in silence. So she finally gets up and then sits on the end of the bed that Abel is still tied to, because, oh, he's still alive, but he has a gag in his mouth, and that's why he wasn't making any noise. While she sat on the bed, the camera shows Abel with a gag in his mouth for 3 minutes straight with no dialogue. Do we have to watch another scene where someone is just staring at something and we can't even tell what he's staring at? It's just his face for 3 minutes. We have to look at this. I thought thrillers were supposed to be thrilling. I was not thrilled. I was lulled to sleep. So she then cries hysterically, covers him in gasoline, and lights a match for no reason. And also, where did you get the gasoline? You literally went there in his limo. So where did you find time to get the gasoline jerry can? When did this happen? You haven't left his side. You were not with your car. You were literally with him in his limo. How did you get the jerry can in the hotel room? Where even is your car? Where was it even parked? Shouldn't your car have been way back at the concert arena? So anyways, she dumps the gasoline all over him. She's crying hysterically. She lights a match and she holds the match directly above him, almost to drop it on him. But right before she drops it on him, he saves the day by singing another full-length Weeknd song. So here we are now sitting through the 7th full-length Weeknd song of the day in an hour and 40-minute movie. I almost said music video because that's what this feels like. Okay, I don't usually like swearing. Look how fucking ridiculous this looks.
So burn me with your light. I have no more fight and to win. So tie me up to face it, so I can't run away.
The camera shots are so drawn out. It's the only thing that I can notice now. It's like when you're talking to someone and you finish your sentence, but then they're like still waiting for you to keep saying stuff. They're still waiting for you as if you have more to say, but you don't have anything more to say. So you just have like this awkward moment of silence where they're still staring at you. That's what this camera feels like. Whoever the cameraman was for this movie was definitely the guy in the group who would take group Snapchats and film for way too long, to the point where people would get angry at him. So this goes on for the remainder of the movie until we get a still shot of him literally staring at nothing. Like, this isn't a still image. This is literally the shot. And that's how the movie ends, with a literal 90-second shot of Abel staring at nothing, with no camera movements at all, and no dialogue. And then, right before the credits, she randomly unties him and then vanishes. We don't know where she went, because the next shot is the hotel room on fire and him leaving the hotel room with like the burning flames in the background. Maybe he killed her? We will never know, because she just untied him and then vanished from the plot. She's nowhere in sight. Was she a figment of his imagination? Let's ponder. And somehow, when he gets to the end of this dramatic hallway, leaving the fire behind him, he ends up right backstage at another concert that he's performing at. And then yet again, we get another 90-second shot of his face and nothing else. And that's when I knew that it was official. This was the worst movie that I've ever seen. Y'all, this is one of the lowest rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's talk about what the critics have to say. So this film, Hurry Up Tomorrow, the Weeknd movie 2, got a whopping 15% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which, by the way, it's out of 100%. So if something gets like a really high rating, like a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, that means that it's good. So a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes is not good. This is barely a film, and it's so desperate to be seen as some sort of invigorating art house experience that it ends up coming across as pathetically try-hard, pretentious, and devoid of any substance. Audience reviews. It has really good music. Confusing, but love the music. Movie was not good. I support The Weeknd because I like his music. A film for fans of not just Abel's music, but of music. Okay, so pretty much the only people who liked this were just because they were there for the music. On the bright side though, I did find a little bit of fun facts about the movie Hurry Up Tomorrow, so that everything isn't so negative, because I don't like being super negative. Fun fact number 1, Abel actually decided to make this movie after losing his voice on tour in LA, which seemed like one of the most devastating and embarrassing moments in his entire career, by the way.
You know how much this kills me right now, I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you so much.
I actually went to that tour. I went to the Dawn FM tour. It was a really, really good album, really good tour, really good show. 3 weeks after he did My City in Vancouver, he went to Los Angeles to perform, and then that's when he tried to sing and then couldn't sing. Also, y'all, that was the same tour that he was doing that weird tongue thing. Another fun fact, a legend has it that the ex that he's stressed out about in the film is loosely based on his ex-girlfriend Bella Hadid. Or it might also be of Selena Gomez, but it's more likely that it's of Bella Hadid because he dated Bella Hadid for like 4 years. So this was speculated that it was supposed to be Bella Hadid because a lot of what The Weeknd has put out was based on his relationship with Bella Hadid and the breakup and the toxicity of that. That's so weird that they dated. That's so weird that they even did. Like, it just feels like a mismatched couple. You know what? I can see that now. I can see how they would be toxic now. It's so hard for rich people to date because I feel like they just instantly just go into these fights all the time about who's better than the other one. So here is my take, my official take. So I think that the Weeknd movie overall didn't really work because The Weeknd, in my opinion, has kind of exhausted the use of biographies because biographies are really awesome in books. Jeanette McCurdy's biography was good. Maya Angelou also. And to be honest, if this film was written as a book, it probably would have been a lot better too. But here's when I think biographies don't really work. When you have been famous for your entire life, you already made multiple biographies, and every single album you've put out is a biography, and all the songs that you make are also biographies, and every music video is based on your life and also serves as a biography. Maybe the world might not necessarily need another biography. The Weeknd, y'all, though, don't get me wrong, The Weeknd is an incredibly talented artist. He has some of the greatest albums of all time. Like, some of my top songs of all time belong to The Weeknd because he's so talented with music and performance. He knows how to put on a good show, y'all. But he is incredibly talented at writing about his own experiences. And music is about relatability. Music is all about relatability, y'all. That's why we have pop music. Because it's popular, because it's relatable to the masses. A lot of people can relate to simple songs about love, about heartbreak, about partying, about hanging out with their friends. It's simple and it relates to a lot of people. With filmmaking though, filmmaking is kind of the complete opposite of music because people don't really want something that's going to be a mirror of their exact life. In films, people want something that is usually a really good story. And to be honest, there isn't much of a story here. Stories need a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this movie just kind of starts like 3/4 of the way into this random dude's life with no background information on who he is whatsoever or even who this person even is. We actually get no information on who any of the characters are in this entire movie. Like I said, we don't even know these people's names. We're just like expected to know their names. Who are the protagonists? Who are the antagonists? What exactly is the plot line here? Aesthetically, they could have done so much more, y'all, to make this movie more pleasing to look at. Like, the camera work is just so lazy. Shot of Abel, shot of Jenna, shot of this guy, shot of Abel. And what makes it so much worse is the shots of Abel are 3 times longer than the shots of any other character in this entire movie. And when the camera is facing Abel, it literally just stays on his face for 90 seconds minimum, every shot. I don't understand, like, are you doing that to be dramatic? Because if you do it for the entirety of the movie, it kind of doesn't make it dramatic anymore. I promise I don't hate The Weeknd. I actually really love The Weeknd. I just think that maybe he should hang up the hat when it comes to writing, producing, directing, scripting, and starring in his own pieces. I think that maybe somebody should tell him, hey, Let's make a movie not about yourself this time. Let's make a movie about anything else. And also, it doesn't hurt to learn. You're not dumb if you go to acting school. You know, there's no shame in acting school. There's no shame in learning to write properly. But I think for right now, his talents are in music and writing about himself. He's really good at writing about himself. So that should kind of just stay in the music space. And I wish him the best. And I hope he gets more and more Grammys and releases more and more bangers. I loved Starboy. I loved Dawn FM. The plot line of this movie, y'all, is a man who faces his biggest psychologically chilling fear of his life that haunts him through his dreams, taking accountability for his own actions. Alright y'all, if you made it to the end of this video, congratulations. Please comment gasoline down below so I know y'all are OGs and you made it to the end. And comment ideas for topics below. I love reading through your comments, and a lot of the time, sometimes, they actually make it out the comment section. If you like this video, don't forget to boop the like button down below and feel free to subscribe, because I post new videos just like this one every Friday and Sunday morning. But that is enough from me, y'all. So I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and I will see you in the next one.